In this documentary, we will look at the pros.
Keep in touch with friends.
Just keep in touch with family I don't see often.
Across the world that you can't talk to, like, everyday lives.
I like to get likes, I'm not gonna lie.
And cons of social media.
I often tend to question it.
There's a lot of rubbish on it.
Act cocky and then say what they think.
I didn't know if Alan Rickman had died, and I thought it's one of them hoaxes, with the death hoaxes.
And try and answer the question, is social media manipulating young minds?
Possibly.
I'm kind of in the middle.
It's a hard question.
We posed this question to the public, and here was their response.
For advertising, I've noticed advertising's got a lot more. They've got a lot cleverer. We have advertisers, our companies advertise on social media.
I don't really know. I think it could do like any form of media does. So you see images and you want to replicate them, things like that. It sort of shows you what the social norm is, I guess. If you see a lot of people that are looking the same.
Depends what their friends are sharing and what they're looking at and what they like.
Yeah.
That defines what they should look like.
When asked the question of are they manipulated by social media, majority of people said they weren't.
But I think that's because I'm a little bit older.
Yeah.
If I was younger, I think I'd very much take a lot of what is said on social media at face value. And I think as you get older, you do begin to question things. So I don't take anything at face value, but I understand why a lot of young people do.
Sometimes I question it, sometimes I don't even bother with it. I don't go on it as much as other people.
Yeah.
I'm on it like once a week maybe, that's like it.
I think I've got a bit more streetwise. At first I didn't know because I didn't know if Alan Rickman had died, and I thought it was one of them hoaxes, with the death hoax and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit upset about that, to be honest.
When we asked the same question on a survey, 70% of people said no, that they weren't manipulated by social media. But how would someone know if they were being manipulated? Also, 80% of people go on social media, with Facebook and Twitter being the two most popular sites. But over the years, other sites have cropped up like Ask.fm and Snapchat, which have give viewers a new and innovative way to socialise with each other. When we asked the same question, are young people manipulated by social media, the polls weren't too dominant, with 60% of people saying yes, over the 40% saying no. We then touched upon the dark regions of social media, cyberbullying.
We've had a couple of instances of students, but on the whole it's been pretty okay, to be honest. But I do also admin a number of internet groups or Facebook groups, like selling sites and things like that, and it's rife. Cyberbullying is rife on there, and certainly a lot of young people take part in that, and certainly a lot of young people are also victims of that. And that's been going on for years now, but seems to be increasing, to be honest. People seem to be desensitised.
Yeah.
So the general public, unfortunately, I don't think appreciate that maybe when you say things to people online that it's bullying.
Yeah.
And what you tend to find is somebody will say something and then it is kind of like a mob mentality. Everybody will join in. And all of a sudden you've got one poor person and maybe 20 or 30 individuals all harassing this individual, private messaging them, private messaging their work, private messaging their families. It is really quite a problem out there.
So kind of what, you talk about you talk about victims of cyberbullying. What's their kind of like mindset of it? What's going through their thoughts?
I think it would be very difficult to it's going to be up to the individual, isn't it? How they feel. Everyone's going to take things differently. There's a story out, I don't know if your viewers are aware of this, but again, the power of social media. There's a page that was set up about 3 days ago, a 14-year-old girl who was being bullied, including cyberbullying, who took an overdose.
It's a big issue.
Yes.
A lot of people get cyberbullied, and a lot of people are aware about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that has to be deal with.
Hmm.
But like parents should also have control on their kids and what they're actually looking at and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's tragic, but I don't think social media is at fault for that. It's just people, and there are things that people can do when they experience it that they can go to someone, but sometimes people aren't brave enough.
Yeah.
Tower. Rebecca left phone and online messages to her closest friends to say goodbye.
Even if it is like a
Does it grieve you though that she didn't open up to you that it had started again?
It makes me angry. It hurts me.
So her family have recorded that event and her in a coma in the hospital and taken photographs and stuff, and she's now woken up and they've said that she's going to admin that and then become an advocate for bullying. So it's very difficult to kind of say there's a blanket, this is how a victim feels, because everyone's different.
There's new forms of social media like Ask.fm and Snapchat. Do you think it's harder for parents to kind of mobilise what the kids do? Do you think it's healthy to bottle up stuff, or do you think you should really talk to someone about it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kids nowadays want to have their own freedom and privacy, and they don't want their parents to get involved. So I think it's a bit hard for them to target their cyberbullying and stuff.
Well, I definitely think it's not healthy to bottle stuff up, because even if you think you're fine, it may get too much and may push someone over the edge.
But I would say to people watching, how would you feel if you hadn't necessarily done anything wrong and someone points the finger at you, and before you know it, people around the world are bombarding your family, your friends, your workplace, your college place with untruths about you, and you don't have the same platform to voice your side? I would imagine it would be scary, it would be intimidating, it would be very, very difficult for anybody to deal with that without being affected in some way. It must be horrendous.
I've never been involved in it, so you don't really know how you'd act towards it until it happens.
Well, for my generation, when I was at school or at college, that's where I went. When I went home, I was at home. I could be myself, I could let my hair down, get into my pyjamas, do what I wanted to do, and I could leave that kind of life behind. You've now got, and I'm talking young people here, I'm talking 12, 13, who their life is played out on social media. So there's no kind of getting away from it. You can't say, well, that's my persona in school. You've got to carry it over into your public life because you're being monitored by other individuals at school. It never goes away. And that must be very pressured.
Alright, so this next video is about body confidence, really. About kind of like what social media can do in terms of looking, like self-image.
See, the thing is they showed a photo before they put all makeup and stuff on her, and then they showed a photo when she's got makeup on her. It's not a very good comparison.
Yeah.
If they'd have done it where they took a photo of her without makeup and then photoshopped her to make it look like she had makeup on, then that'd have been better.
I think it's a bit wrong because they just distort a woman's body so much it doesn't even look like the person she looked like before.
Yeah.
I think so. It's like if you go on Instagram or something or Tumblr and you see all these girls and the way how they dress and stuff, you think, oh, why don't I look like that? But it's not real.
Yeah.
They're not real people. Well, they are real people, but that's not their real life. They're just taking a picture to emphasise, oh, I have a good life, but then really they're dealing with problems.
In a way it makes me feel better about myself because I know that even though you aspire to look like models, they don't look like how they do, and they're photoshopped.
I wish I was this good at Photoshop, to be honest.
There's a great saying, and it's, bad things can happen when good people do nothing. You will see, and it's kind of like a snake, yeah? Something is said on an internet site or on a Facebook site, and you see the victim straight away being singled out, and like I said, the mob then join in. Usually, that will continue. However, it only takes one or two people to put the other point of view across before you see the sway in the public opinion go back, and the victim is then kind of like, given a free pass. So it needs people to kind of step up and say, well, hang on a second, you're taking what is being said as gospel. Is that actually true? How about this? And you then see a total shift in the way that that person is then treated. And then other people jump in and defend them. So I think that's something that, you know, maybe people ought to consider, that, you know, it's not necessarily always the bad in there. There are people that say good things, but if you don't kind of challenge it and you don't kind of put it up for what it is, which is bullying, it will just continue.
We didn't want to leave our participants feeling low on social media, so we showed them what good social media can do. This is Batkid. So, have you ever heard of Batkid?
No, I've not.
So this is a cancer patient. He made a wish to make a wish to become the Batman, and they put it on social media, and pretty much like a whole town, like a whole city, made this boy's make a wish come true and make him become what he wanted to be.
But it's good to get awareness for stuff.
So, do you think stuff like this kind of makes up for the dark side?
Yeah.
What do you think about this kind of, to go this far just to make this young boy's dream come true?
I think it's good because it shows that people focus on making a difference in even like one person's life. It doesn't matter if it's just one person, even if you make one person's life better, it matters.
I think social media has a big part in everyone's life, and it can influence big changes.
Yeah.
Affect people in certain ways.
How do you feel that they're making kind of like a lot of people joining together?
Yeah, it brings everyone together, and it's just focusing on making everyone feel compassionate and everyone's being kinder to make someone's wish come true.
Do you think that you could possibly inspire you to make something?
Yeah,
So
I think it would inspire me to do something like this. Try and get people involved all together, do something good for maybe someone else instead of me, because I'm not really like...
Yeah.
Just make someone else happy.
He might not have got all that done if like Facebook and stuff weren't involved.
So this kid's dream wouldn't have happened if kind of like social media wasn't around?
Yeah. They might put it in paper and stuff, but then it'd have only been locally.
So you think it attracts a bigger audience to people?
Yeah, because it can reach a lot more people, can't it?
Yeah, so generally in the media, the producers of the media place messages into their text, so whether that's a TV programme, a film, music video, whatever it is, they encode their text with messages, and that could be like their beliefs, their opinions, their attitudes and things like that. And us as the viewers, as the consumers, when we're watching those types of media, we decode the messages and we either sort of agree with them or, depending on where we are in our own personal attitudes and stuff, take a certain stance.
Okay. How would you know how to decode people's behaviours without any words?
It's difficult, but as a teacher, you certainly know how to decode people's body language, I guess.
Yeah.
So often people who are sort of sat with their arms folded are really defensive and not ready to learn or not ready to listen to you. There's rolling of the eyes you often get as a teacher as well, which obviously suggests there's an attitude there. If someone's sat upright and things like that, you can tell that they're ready to listen to you, they're ready to learn. Obviously you can tell a lot from a smile. There's certain things that you can tell. A smile obviously can change a person's day as well, so maybe their body language was being portrayed as sad or maybe a bit down, but you can smile at them and suddenly that might uplift them. You can tell a lot about a person from their body language, I think, yeah. I've talked before about the media producers encoding text with their attitudes, beliefs and things like that. Stuart Hall suggested, he was a theorist, he was a massively influential media theorist, and he suggested that when you're watching a media text, you decode those messages that have been put in there by the producers, and he said that you're not necessarily going to take a dominant approach, which is where you agree with everything and believe it.
Have you seen this video before?
Yes, I have.
So what are your opinions on this video?
It's very funny.
Were you wondering that?
Yeah, actually, like, did she set on fire?
You might also take a negotiated approach where you can see what they were trying to get at.
You getting suspicious of this now?
Yeah, a bit.
How about now?
Oh!
Did it change your opinion now? You know the video's fake?
Yeah, a little. It's not as funny.
Yeah.
It just seems fake and it's not real and genuine.
Or an oppositional approach where you sort of, as the name suggests, oppose what you're watching. Again, see what they're trying to get at, trying to sell you, but you don't. It conflicts with your own attitudes and opinions and things like that.
It's just so basic. It's unbelievable.
Have you seen this video before?
I think so. Oh, someone comes through the door, don't they?
So you've seen it before?
Yeah.
So on that video, kind of like, what you first like when you first saw it, what did you think about it at first glance?
I didn't know why she had candles on it middle of the day. I didn't know why she had candles on when the thermometer thing said it was quite warm. You don't need extra warmth if it's already warm. Like, what's the point? Come on, get with it, love.
Alright, so you're questioning the video then?
Yeah, it's pointless.
Alright, watch the next video. Well, we're doing this thing where we have many reactions, people reacting. We got people from students from the college to watch some videos, some controversial, some uplifting.
Yeah.
Kind of, how do you think students in our class, take for instance, would react? Like, are people more likely to take the oppositional, the negotiating, or the dominant?
I think it depends what it is, but I think in our classes, one of the things we do as media teachers and media students is we work together to ensure that you as media students take an approach that is clued up.
Oh!
So you question what you're watching.
You can see tag from her trousers.
So if you do agree with it, you try and take both sides.
I'll get straight to the question everyone wants answered.
So what are your opinions on this so far?
Not very interesting.
And sort of weigh up the sources and things like that. So I think what we do, I'd like to think that all my students particularly are very sort of wise to things like that. So again, it depends what it is that you're watching and what your own beliefs are, but I think as media students, one of the things we do is teach you to question what you watch and stuff, so it's dependent. I think a lot of people would take a negotiated stance on what they watch unless it really conflicted with their own opinions, in which case they'd take an oppositional one. In terms of dominant approaches, I think our students don't necessarily believe and agree with everything in the media because they're wise to it, as I've said.
Okay, so they're the videos, they've all finished. What are your overall opinions of this, of social media as a whole?
I think it's just, there's like positive and negative things to everything in life, and social media will have positive and negative repercussions, but there's so many positive things that come out of it, and I feel like that's the most important thing.
There's good sides and bad sides. It depends what you write, what you do with it, and whether it affects you personally. But overall, I think social media is good, a good way of communicating with people.
Not really, because I'm not too active on it myself. Like, I don't...
You're not kind of like devoted to it then?
I don't repeatedly tweet like celebrities and stuff. Or I don't really post all of it. It don't affect me, but it affects other people.
Does it affect your views on social media, these videos?
A little bit, yeah, because while I question things, like some of the videos, like viral videos, I question those, but then other things make me have a bit more faith in humanity and see a lot of positivity in the world.
Not really. I still view it in like a certain way of believing certain things and not, and where it affects me. But to be honest, it doesn't really affect me that much.
So you don't think, you know, because you're not into social media as much, you know, it's not as big in your life as it is.
Social media is a big part of my life because I use it every day. I look on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of this. But the things that's on there, it doesn't affect me.
Okay.
Personally.
So there you go. We have given you our research on whether young people are manipulated by social media. We have gone to the public, experts, and young people themselves. We have conducted social experiments and surveys on the subject matter. Now, we leave it up to you to decide yourselves. Are young people manipulated by social media?